Today's lesson is on using media in App Inventor 2. Before I show you how to use media, we have to know what media is. Media is just any form of digitized information, generally for computers and other electronic devices, that can be represented through audio, video, animations, graphics, drawings, and images. It's also known as multimedia. In App Inventor 2, there are many types of media you can use, and there's a table here that shows all the different controls that there are. The controls can be categorized into recording controls, playing controls, there's some speech to text and text to speech, and then there's a couple of miscellaneous ones. Let's start off with the input controls. This is where you're going to be recording something. We have the camcorder, the camera, and the sound recorder. For the camcorder, it's to record video, and when it records in the 3GP format. Maximum size for a video file is 50 megabytes. Once we get it into App Inventor, we use a local variable called clip in order to access that video file. And you can see there's a common block there that we use to start it, and it's just record video. The camera, on the other hand, is for still images. Its format is a JPEG or JPG file. Its maximum size is variable. It's about 95 megabytes. The actual limit is based on pixels, which is 5,000 by 5,000 pixels. And depending on the color depth that you have, whether it be an 8-bit or 16-bit image or some other resolution, then the file size will actually be different. Its local variable is called image, and we take a picture by using the call camera take picture block. The sound recorder is for audio. It also records in the 3GP format. It has a maximum file size of 50 megabytes. Its local variable is called sound, and it's got two blocks that we use. One to start the audio recording, that's like hitting the record button on a recorder, and then a stop block, which is like hitting the stop button to stop the recording. All three of these controls are what are considered non-visible controls. They don't have anything that you see on the screen itself. They're just background controls that connect to different hardware pieces on the device that you're using. The output controls, we have the video player, the player, and the sound. The video player is to play video files, and it can accept MPEG-4 or MP4 files or the 3GP files. It takes a video file and displays it on the screen. It has two blocks, a start and a pause that we use, and it is visible on the screen. There has to be a component on the screen that you can actually watch the video. Both player and sound are for audio files. Why do we need two controls for audio files? I'll get to that here in a little bit. The types of audio files that both of these can play are MP3s, WAVs, WMA, which stands for Windows Media Audio, the 3GP, OGG, which is an open source sound file, and AAC, which is from old Apple iPods that had digital rights management built in. Under the uses, we use the player control for longer audio, like songs, or when we want to loop the audio over and over again, because it has a looping block or looping property in there that we can set. The sound, on the other hand, is better for short audio, like sound effects when you have a video game or something and you have a bang or a bell that rings or a dog that barks or something like that. That's what we use for the sound. The player is for something a lot longer. The blocks we have are pretty much the same for both of them. There is a start to start a player, the audio in the player, and then we have play for the sound. But there's a pause for each, there's a stop for each, and then both of these also have a block for vibrating the device. If the device has a means of vibration, we can set that vibration off. Now, some tablets don't have that ability, so if you try to use that block and nothing happens, it could be that the device that you're running your app on doesn't have that capability. And then you can notice that the sound also has one more in there that's called resume. With the sound, after we pause, we have to hit resume to have it continue on with the same spot that it's in. With the player, when we hit pause, we just use start again, and it will continue playing from where it was paused. Both of these controls are non-visible. You don't see anything on the screen because it's just audio. Okay, now I'm going to show you some examples here. First, with the video. I have an event handler here, a video button click, and when we click that button on the app, then it will call the camcorder record video, and it will start recording video using the capabilities built into the device that you're using. So if your device doesn't have the ability to record video or have images, then obviously this would. After you hit stop, then there's an event that's raised called after recording. 1 source and player 1 start. And over here we have sound 1 source and sound 1 play. Other than that, the code is identical. Okay, some text controls. We can take speech that you enter through the microphone and convert it to text, or we can do the opposite of that and take text that's in some form from a file or from a text box that the user enters it or something along those lines and turn it into speech that then is spoken through the speaker. So in the text to speech, we're converting text that's in the app to audio. We only have one block for that. It's called text to speech, and then you see there's a socket there for the message, and then we would connect that socket to a label text property or a text box text property or some other block that has the text that we want it to speak. Going the other way, if we want to speak something and have the device capture it and turn it into text, kind of like a dictation machine, then we use the speech recognizer and we use the get text procedure for that. Both of these are non-visible controls. There's nothing that you'd see on the app itself. And here we have an example of both of those with the speech to text, where I'm talking into the microphone and then getting my speech translated into words and phrases and then put into a text box or label or something along those lines. In this example, I have a dictate button. I'd click on the button, it would start the speech recognition process, and then after I hit that I'm done with the speech recognition, when I'm done talking, then it's going to put that text in the result variable there, and then my code in the when speech recognizer 1 after getting text will take that result and put it into a label that's on the screen. Going from text to speech, I already showed you that block in the previous one. I have a button called Speak Button. You click on it and it's going to take whatever we have in the label called Results Label, and it's going to speak it out. And it'd be interesting to have these things in the same app to see if I were to speak something in and it translates it and speaks it back out, if it could get the same message coming out as the one that I put in. We also have a couple of miscellaneous controls. We have the image picker and the Yandex Translate. The image picker is for picking images from the device's camera roll or gallery of some sort, whatever the device is. Some devices have separate picture galleries that we're taking from the camera that's on the device, and then if you upload pictures, it would be in a different folder, so it would give you the choice of going to different folders. Other devices will just take you to the one spot, and whatever's in that one spot is what you get. So this one here is a little bit device dependent, depending on what kind of device you're running it on. Common blocks we use here in order to get the image picker, we use the call image picker open. This one's a little bit different because the control for the image picker also looks like a button. So you can also click on it as well to call that image picker open. And then once we have chosen a picture from our gallery, the picture that you choose, the pathway to that will be in the selection property. So we would use this light green image picker selection to give our app the location of the image so that we could do with it whatever we want to do with it. This is an on-screen, a visible one. Like I said, it has a button that goes on there so you can press on it. The Yandex Translate translates text between languages. Now this is an online service, so your tablet has to be connected to the internet in order for this to work. But if you are online, you just have to have that message that you want in a text box or in a label or something, and then you'd use this call Yandex Translate 1 request translation. It's got 2 sockets on it. One is the language to translate it to, and it uses abbreviations for that. You'll see that here in the example in a little bit. And then we have the text that we want to translate. This is a non-visible control. There's nothing on the screen that you can see for the Yandex Translate. So here's our examples for the miscellaneous media examples. For the image picker, if I had an image picker on my screen, you notice it doesn't have a click event. It has a touch down and a touch up event because it's not a button. Buttons are the only ones that have the click events. But I can use the touch down button to have it act just like a button. When the image picker is pressed, then I call the image picker open. It will open up the image picker on the device so I can pick whatever image I want. And then after I'm done doing that, it'll go back to the app, and then this after picking event will fire. And then I could do with the information whatever I want. Remember, the path to that image is going to be in the selection property. So if I wanted to put that image somewhere on my screen, if I had an image or a canvas or something for that, I could just set that image or canvas picture property to the image picker selection, and it would put that image in there. For the Yandex Translate, You click a button and then it will take the language you want it to translate to, and that's going to be a text block, and then it's going to have the abbreviation for the language. ES is for Spanish, EN is for English, RU is for Russian, and then you'd have to look up the other. Those are common two-letter abbreviations that are used all over the web for language translation. And then you'd have to have some block that has the actual text that you want. And in this particular example, I had a text box called text to translate text box, and then after the user types whatever they want in there, they would click the translate button, it would send it out to Yandex Translate, and then after it gets the translation, that second block down below would run, and you can see that it has a translation local variable that's going to have the text that was translated, and you can put that into a label or into a text box, or have it go to speech to text to have it speak. So that would be an example of the Yandex Translate. Okay, so in summary, we've talked about all of the media controls that are on the right there you can see in App Inventor. Why would you want to use media controls? You can add interest and appeal to your program. Most apps aren't going to be very fun to use or very popular if all they have are text boxes and labels with no visuals to it. So images, videos, also sound effects and background music help to have your app seem more interesting and more popular. So if you add those things to it, then that's just another way to get more people to want to use your apps. Plus, you can make apps like a dictation machine or a media player that plays videos or music and other things like that. So that is what we do with the media controls.